Hey everybody, I thought I would try something I haven't tried in quite some time, and that is a Strat-O-Matic game without the game itself being the 1977 White Sox. It's been a long time. What I did is I got a comment recently on a video I put out 3 years ago. I'm surprised somebody still found that. But it was a super advanced Strat-O-Matic game between the Twins and the Yankees from 1967. I was floored when it had over 7,000 views. I didn't think 7,000 people even knew who I was. But anyway, I was like, well, let's see. And this was back 3 years ago when I had a horrible camera, horrible setup and everything. So I said, well, since I've hopefully improved in 3 years, let's bring back 1967 and try it again and see what happens. So I went back to my trusty 1967 American League box score book, and I realize this is online now and everything, but this was back before online. And we're going to go back to opening day 1967 from April 11th. And you see the game right here, April 11th, Minnesota and Baltimore. From Baltimore. And here's your starting lineup for the Twins with Jim Cott on the mound. And they'll be facing the Orioles with Dave McNally on the mound, and you can see the lineup right here for your, or not for your Orioles, but for the Orioles. And in the actual game, the Orioles came out victorious 6-3 as they jumped on Jim Cott for 4 runs in the first. So we're going to replay that game. I got the starting lineups all set up on the score, my score book or score page, whatever you want to call it. And Dave McNally is going to be your starter. And in 1967, he was only 7-7 with a 4.54 ERA, only 22 starts, so obviously he had some injury issues. And Cesar Tovar will lead things off for the Twins, and this is super advanced all the way. That would be fielding, that would be base running, you name it, we're going to do it super advanced and try not to mess things up. All right, so Tovar, the right-hander, against McNally, the lefty. Here we go, 1967 opening day. This is not a season replay. This is just a one-off, just to do something a little bit different and break up the monotony of the 77 White Sox. And McNally, a 1-3 to Tovar, and that's a ground ball to first. And that will be handled by Boog Powell. He will take it to the bag himself. 1 away. And that was a 1-3 right there, that ground ball first base C. So 1 away, and here's Rich Rollins, the third baseman. McNally, a 3-10. Rollins against the lefties, a ground ball second base C. So Davey Johnson will handle that one. 2 down. And super advanced really is not that bad compared to advanced, especially with nobody on base. When you start getting into more detail is when you start bringing guys on base and the base running and so forth. But early on, it's just like pretty much almost exactly like advanced, other than the ballpark effects. All right, oh, and speaking of ballpark effects, I forgot to mention those. Singles are 1-8 in Memorial Stadium. Home runs 1-3 for lefties, 1-8 for righties. All right, here's Tony Oliva, lefty on lefty. That's a 4-4, so go to McNally, 4-4. It's ground ball third base X, and now we go to the super advanced fielding chart for the third baseman, who just happens to be Gold Glover Brooks Robinson. And Brooks Robinson's a 1-11. Now, normally I'd roll the D20, but when you're a defensive rating of 1, you always will field the ball, so no chance there to have it get by him. So we're just going to roll the 3 D6s and check it against his E11 result. And error chances are 6, 15, 17, and 16. So that is a 16, so right on cue. There you go. When you get these high numbers, that's a 16. So Brooks Robinson as an E11. 16 is a 2-base error, so a very rare 2-base error on Brooks Robinson, but that's what the D6 brought about. So it is a 2-base error on Brooks Robinson. And like I said, that's not something you see very often. Oliva is a B stealer, and he's a fast runner, so they will hold him on. And now with the runner on base, we're going to roll the D20 and check for potential balks or pass balls or wild pitches. And we get a 7, so nothing's going on there. It would have had to have been a 1 or a 2 to be checking for those things. All right, so now Harmon Killebrew, 4-8 against a right-hander. It's a single to left field, so now there's a chance the run can score with that single to left. The left fielder, Kurt Bleffery, is has an arm of 0, so he has no effect. The run rating on Oliva was a 16. Of course, he's being held, makes him a 15, but there are 2 outs. So that gives him a 2 boost to make it a 17. So a 1 to 17, and he will score. Now, the thing you can do here is they can try to throw him out, but if he does that, Killebrew has a chance to get second base. So the defense has to weigh their options. Do you want to take a chance at the guy at the plate and let Killebrew get to second, or do you cut the throw and just concede the run, figuring it's a 1 to 17? You don't have a whole lot of opportunity. So that's what Baltimore is going to do. They're going to, Earl Weaver is going to say, well, actually, it's not Earl Weaver at this point. I don't believe he comes in later. It could have been. No, I think Earl Weaver came in 68. So they will go ahead and I should know the manager's name, but it escapes me at the moment. But they will go ahead and allow the run to score, and they will freeze Killebrew at first base. Now, just for kicks and giggles, we'll roll this and see if it's a 17 or less. It is 16. He would have scored, and Killebrew would have been at second. So they made the smart move there. Now, Killebrew's at first. He will not be held, but we still got to roll for wild pitches and whatnot. And nothing happening. So now Bob Allison, steps in against McNally. 3-6 against the lefty. He's going to walk. So that will move Killebrew up to second base. So runners are now at first and second for Rod Carew in his rookie season. We'll roll the 20 again just to make sure nothing's happening. Here's Carew. 2-5 against the lefty. Struck him out. So McNally gets out of it after that. Does give up the run, though. And at the end of a half an inning of play here in Baltimore, it is Minnesota 1. And the Orioles coming to bat. All right, so Jim Cott will take over and join on the mound and try to protect that lead. Cott in 67, 16-13, 3.05 ERA and 38 starts. Very durable pitcher. And he'll be facing left fielder Kurt Blefary, lefty on lefty for this one. 6-2. 6-2 is a fly to right, and that's going to be handled out there by the right fielder, Mr. Tony Oliva. So Blefary is retired, 1 away. Brings up Louis Aparicio, shortstop. 5-3, caught against a right-hander on a 5-3 is a ground ball first base X. That is Mr. Killebrew, who's not exactly a gold glover over at first base. He is a 4E11, so we're going to roll for the defense. 4E11. We'll roll the D20 first, see if he gets to it. It's a 10. A 4 and a 10 is a G3, so that means he will get to it. Now the question is, will he make an error? And again, his error rating is an E11. And errors on first baseman for E11, 6, 8, 15, 3, and 18. That's an 8. And that will be an error. So there you go. One error deserves another, I guess. Unlucky error there. Number 8 is an error on Killebrew. So Aparicio will reach. And let's see, Aparicio, pretty good base runner. He's a B stealer. He will not go anywhere, but he will be held, obviously. We'll roll for the potential, and there it is, a 1. Potential wild pitch on Cott. His wild pitch rating is a 7. So we'll roll this and see if it's a 7 or less. It'll be a wild pitch. It's a 1, so it's a wild pitch. Cott, a wild pitch, moves Aparicio to second base. We'll roll again and check for another wild pitch or anything else. Nothing's happening this time. So now here's Frank Robinson. 6'5". 6'5" is a ground ball shortstop. That's Zolio Rosales. And Rosales at short checks in as a 3E32. So we'll roll the blue for a 3. And that's a 14. So a 3 and a 14 at short means it's a fielder's choice. It's a G2. So, well, there's no force play. So just kind of freeze Aparicio there, assuming there's no error. And he is an E32. And at shortstop, an E32, you got a 13, 15, 17, or 18. And that's a 12, so that's a good play. So he avoided that error numbers and makes the play. Aparicio had to hold. 2 down, and that brings up Brooks Robinson. Check for the 20, nothing's going on. Brooksy, 5-4 against Cott. Fly ball center field X. That is the center fielder Tovar. And Cesar Tovar checks in as a 3E2. So we'll check and see if he gets to it. 3 and a 3, he may not get to that. Check on the chart for an outfielder. A 3 and a 3 is a double 2 stars, so that will score the run. Now we need to check and see if there's going to be any sort of error. And his error rating is an E2, so probably not going to be an error. For a center fielder to make an error on an E2, it has to be a 17 or 18 or a 3. And it's none of those. But it will be a single 2 stars, and that will tie the game as Aparicio comes around to score. Both runs in this game unearned, but they will take it. Brooks Robinson gets the base hit. He will be held. He will not be held, rather. He won't go anywhere, but we'll check for wild pitches. And there's none there. So here's Boog Powell, lefty on lefty, 2-8. Ground ball, all these hits, and he found ground ball to first. And Killebrew will take it to the bag himself to end the inning. But after one complete here at Memorial Stadium, it is 1-1. Twins and the Orioles. All right, second inning is upon us, and that means McNally comes back out, and he'll be facing the bottom of the order. Batty, Versalis, and the pitcher Cott. So here's Mr. Batty. 2-7 against a left-hander is a strikeout. So strikeout for McNally. That's his second in a row. He struck out Carew to end the top of the first. Here's Versalis, 4-5, and that's another strikeout. There's a dot there, but that's when you're tired, and of course second inning he's not tired. So 2 down, base is clear, and hitting off pitcher hitting card number 3 is McNally. 3-10, he walks. How about that? He walked the pitcher. So McNally draws a 2-out walk, surprisingly enough. And that'll take us to Cesar Tovar. Make sure there's no wild pitches. There's not. Here's Tovar, and Tovar grounded to first. His first time up, 5-7. 5-7, he ground balls. I'm 6-7. 5-7's a walk, my bad. So back-to-back walks. That's the third walk issued by McNally. So getting a little wild. Puts runners at first and second with 2 down still. And Rich Rollins, the batter, grounded to second his first time up. That's a 2. So we're checking for either a balk or a pass ball, depending on what the white die says. White die is a 1, so we're checking for balks, but McNally has a 0 balk rating. So we ignore that. Going to finish the at-bat on Rollins, 2-8. All these hits in column 2, and he found a ground ball to third against the lefty. So that's going to end the inning without a run being scored, but it was close. So nothing doing for the Twins. They come away empty-handed. We go to the bottom of the second, still tied at 1 apiece. Jim Cott back out. We'll be facing Davey Johnson, Paul Blair, and Andy Etchebarren. So here's Johnson. 1-5 for Johnson against a lefty is a strikeout. So that's 1 away, and that brings up Paul Blair, center fielder. 5-4 against Cott is a catcher X. Catcher in this case is Earl Batty. His defensive rating for Earl Batty is a 3 E6. So we'll roll the 3, roll for the range, it's a 20. 3 and a 20 is a G2, which is a little ground ball in front of the plate. Now we'll check for an error. He's an E6, and the error checks is a 14 and an 18. And he rolls a 12. So he's good to go. It's just a 2-3 ground out. 2 down, base is clear for Andy Etchebarren. 2-4 for Etchebarren against a lefty. That's a ballpark single check when you get that little upside down triangle. And ballpark singles are 1-8 for both lefties and righties. So we'll see if this is an 8 or less. It is not. It's a 10. So instead of being a single, it'll be a fly to left. And that will end the inning. Some people play that when you don't get the ballpark single that you do a liner to short. I always go with what's on the card. That's just my little house rule. We'll call it that. All right, so no score there. We go to the third. McNally back out. We'll be facing Tony Oliva, lefty. Heart of the order, Oliva, Killebrew, and Allison. 4-7 against a lefty from McNally will be a strikeout. There's a dot, but of course, no fatigue yet, so the strikeout will stand. Need to move this over just a touch. All right, so Oliva. I may need to do something with these cards so that we can get everything fitting in camera, because sooner or later the dice aren't going to fit. Here's Killebrew. 6, and they didn't on this one, did they? 6-9. I'll figure something out. 6-9 against a right-hander, and that's a trouble spot for McNally. 1-6 is a triple. 7-20 is a double. And that's a double for Harmon Killebrew. So what I may have to do is move the score sheet kind of off the screen so that we can keep the cards and the dice, which are the most important, on camera. And we may have to I'll have to tell you what the score sheet is going forward. All right, here's Allison. Allison to 5, nothing doing. So here's the pitch, 5-12, ground ball first base X, and that is Boog Powell. And Boog Powell checks in. Defensively is a 3 E19. So let's see if he can get to it. 3 and a 6, he does. It is a G3. So the runner's going to advance to third either way. Error on Boog Powell. His error rating is a 19. So errors at first base for a 19. Let's take a look here. Oops. 3 and a 6 and a 19. So his error chances are 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So he needs some low numbers here. That is a 13. Did I count that as an error chance on a first baseman E11? A 13 is not going to do it. 13, he's going to be safe. I'm sorry, what did I say he was? He was did I say it was a 13 or was it a different number? He's a 19, my bad. 19. There's no 13. It's a 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's a 13. So Boog Powell escapes the error, but the runner will go to third. That is Killebrew. With 2 outs, the runner is now at third base. And that brings up Rod Carew. Make sure there's nothing weird. It's a 1, so chance on a wild pitch. McNally is a 3 for a wild pitch rating. 3 or less and a run will score on a wild pitch. It does not, so Rod Carew has to earn it. 1-9 against a lefty. Ground ball second base. That's going to end the inning. So McNally pitches out of that mess. And nothing doing for the Twins here in the top of the third. We go to the bottom of the third, still 1-1. And now we move over to the pitcher, McNally, and he's using pitcher hitting card number 2 against Cott. 2-9. 2-9 is a strikeout. So McNally out on strikes. 1 away, and we move over to the top of the order for Kurt Blefary. 4-4, and 4-4 is a fly ball center field X. That is Mr. Tovar again. And Tovar checks in center field wise is a 3 E2. So we'll see if he can get to it with this D20. 3 and a 4 is going to be close. 3 and a 4 for an outfielder. He will not get to it. It's a single. So now we're going to check for an error. And Tovar E2, you have to have a 17 or 18 to be an error. That's not going to be an error, but it will be a base hit for Blefary. It will sneak in. So Blefary's aboard. He's a D stealer. He will not be held, but they will, of course, check for wild pitches, balks or whatever. And nothing's going to happen there. So here's Aparicio. 5-12. That's ground ball third base X. That's Rich Rollins. And Rollins at third base checks in as a 4 E18. So we'll roll and see if we can get to it. 4 and a 13 as a first baseman. 4 and a 13 is a G3. So the runner will advance to second base. We'll check for the error. And Rollins is an E18 at third base. So 11, 15, 16, or 17 is what they're trying to avoid. 5, that's actually going to be a rare play. So the G3 rare play is where we're going to go. Right here, a G3 and an RP, rare play. Batter lines a shot that hits the mound and deflects to the fielder who makes the play to first for the out. All runners advance. So basically what that happens is we're going to count that as a 1-5-3 with Blefary going to second base for out number 2. And that's going to send up Frank Robinson with the tying run in scoring position. Nothing on the D20. We go to Robinson against Cott. 110, and that is a ballpark home run chance. Would be a normal home run, but on Super Advance with the diamond shot, you check for the home runs. And for right-handers in Memorial Stadium, it's 1-8. So 8 or less, it's gone. It is a 14, so it is caught in left field at the warning track to end the inning. So the Orioles come away empty-handed here in the third. We go to the fourth, still 1-1. And McNally back out will be facing bottom portion of the order, Batty for Salas, and then the pitcher, Jim Cott. Here's Batty, 6-9 for Batty against McNally, and that's that trouble spot he has. 1-6 is a double, I'm sorry, a triple, and 7 to 20 is a double. That is a triple for Earl Batty. Do you believe that? A triple. He had 1 triple on the season, and he just found it there. I think on the computer game, they probably would have adjusted that to a double, but cards and dice, I just play it the way it is. All right, here's for Salas. Nothing on the 20, so infield's going to lay back with nobody out. For Salas, 212 against a lefty. That's a hit by pitch plus injury. So if I wasn't doing if I was doing as played, I would ignore the injuries. If I'm not doing advanced played, I would do injuries. I'm doing as played, but I'm not really doing a season thing. But I'm just going to go ahead and just say he shakes it off, and we won't worry about injuries. So that's going to bring up the pitcher, Jim Cott, and he's in an excellent position here to bunt the runner on first over to second. His bunt rating, according to his card, he's only a D, so not very good. Let's see. They may just have him swing away here. All right, first of all, we got to check and make sure there's no wild pitch or anything. There's not. So I'm going to let Cott swing away. 4-3. Ground ball pitcher X, that's McNally. He's a 2, E12. So let's roll and see if he can get to it on its 2 result. 2 and a 3 is going to be interesting. 2 and a 3. It will be a G3, but the runners will advance. And his error is an E12, which means 6, 12, 15, or 18 you want to avoid. And that is a 16, and I think he's okay on that. Yes, he is. So no error, but the run will score. It's a 1-3 ground out. Batty will score to give the Twins a 2-0 lead, 2-1 lead rather. And Versailles will go to second base. So it kind of acted like a sacrifice unofficially. But now runners at second is Versailles, so we'll check for the wild pitch, and there is none. Here's Tovar. Tovar grounded to first and walked. 6-6 is going to be a fly to right, and that's handled by Frank Robinson for out number 2. So 2 down rather here in the 4th. 2-1 Twins. There's Rich Rollins. Make sure nothing's. Oh, it's a 2, so it's chance for a balk or a pass ball. It's a 6, so we're checking the pass ball rating of Andy Etchebarren. His pass ball rating is a 3, so this D20 has to be a 1, 2, or 3 to be a pass ball. It's an 8, so no pass ball. We drive on. Rich Rollins, 1-8 against a lefty. Ground ball to the pitcher, and that's going to end the inning. But Twins take the lead, 2-1, and they turn it over to Jim Cott. So Cott is aboard on the mound facing Brooks Robinson. It'll be Brooks Robinson, Boog Powell, and Dave Johnson. Robinson 6'8", and that's the soft spot on Cott for a right-hander. 1 to 6 is a double. 7 to 20 is a single. It's a double for Brooks Robinson. So Brooksy with the double. Leadoff double for Brooks as the Orioles try to come back. Here's Boog Powell. 4-10, fly ball to center field. That's 1 away. Robinson has to hold. So 1 down, and that brings up Davey Johnson. Nothing on the 20. Brooks Robinson not being held as he's a slow runner. Johnson, a 1-5, is a strikeout against the lefty. So Cott rings him up, and that brings up Paul Blair, center fielder. Blair grounded to the catcher his first time. See what he can do with 2 outs in the clutch. 1-6. He has a 1 to 14 chance of getting a single, but it's only 1 star. So the run would not score. 15 to 20 lines to Rollins at third. That's a 15, so he lines to Rollins to end the inning. Nothing doing for the Orioles here in the 4th. We go to the 5th. 2-1 Twins. And let's check. Fatigue for McNally is only a 5, so he's going to start his fatigue inning. Jim Cott can go 8, so McNally is going to probably need some relief. And I've got the pitchers that pitched in the actual game, Mo Drabowski and Stu Miller. They're all in the wings for the Orioles if they're needed. Right now it's Tony Oliva. 5-10 against a lefty. That's a catcher X. That's Etchebarren. He's a 2, so we'll see what happens on the D20. 2 and a 19 is going to be a ground ball. His error rating is a 5. And so you want to avoid 4, 16, 17, and 18. And he's done so. So it's just a 2-3 ground out. Tony Oliva is out of there. 1 away. Here's Harmon Killebrew. 6-7. Ground ball second base X. That is Davey Johnson. And we'll check Davey Johnson's defensive prowess. He's a 3 E16, so we'll check the 20, see if he gets to it. 3 and a 13, he does get to it. E16, numbers he wants to avoid on an E16 as a second baseman is 15, 16, 17, and 18. And 13 is fine, so he makes that play. 2 down. And that's going to bring up Bob Allison. 3-11 for Allison. Grounds to Davey Johnson again to end the inning. This one, no error check. Just an easy play. And it's 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the 5th. It's McNally, 3 up, 3 down, so he can continue on his without any fatigue problems just yet. Here's Jim Cott. And Cott will be facing Etchebarren, McNally, and Blefary. 1-8. 1-8 for Etchebarren is a leadoff walk. So now McNally has a chance to potentially bunt him over. He is an A bunter, so they are going to let him bunt. He becomes a B bunter. So we'll go to the super advanced sacrifice chart and roll 3 D6s. Get a 5 on the red dice, and that becomes a sacrifice. The white die tells you who feels it. That's a 5, which is the first baseman. So in this case, it's a sacrifice to Harmon Killebrew. He will just tag out McNally as he gives himself up. And Etchebarren gets to second base. So successful sacrifice with 1 out. And back to the top of the order for Blefary. Nothing on the 20. Blefary. 2-4 against Cott the lefty is a ground ball second base B. Now, Etchebarren was not being held, so the plus sign is not going to come into play. But with the ball hit to second base, that will allow the runner to get to third. So there's 2 down and 2 outs for Louis Aparicio. 9, nothing going on. Here's Aparicio. 6-8, 6-8. That's that soft spot for Cott again. So Aparicio is going to tie the game. 1-6 is a double. 7-20 a single. That's a double for Aparicio, and that will score Etchebarren to tie the game at 2 here in the bottom of the 5th. Aparicio is a B stealer. He will be held. Nothing on the 20. Let's go to Frank Robinson. 4-7. 4-7 is a strikeout, so that's going to end the inning. But the Orioles tie it thanks to the double by Aparicio. And we go to the 6th. It's tied at 2. And McNally keeping a watch on him. Of course, he has no marks against his fatigue because he pitched a 1-2-3 inning last time out. Here's Rod Carew. 2-11 against a lefty, and that's a split chance on the super advanced. 1-5 is a single. 6-20 is a line out. In advanced, it would just simply be a ground ball to first, but now you have the chance for the hit. 1-5 would do it. It is a 1, so it's going to turn to a base hit for Rod Carew. Leadoff single, and that's huge. He is a D stealer. He will not be held, but we will roll for the wild pitches and so forth. Nothing happening. Here's Earl Batty. 6-7. 6-7 is a ground ball second base X once again. And since Carew was not being held, there's no penalty on Davey Johnson for his range. He's still going to be a 3 E16, so we'll roll the 20. 3 and a 5, and at first base, a 3 and a 5, or at second base rather. 3 and a 5 is a G3 with the runner advancing to second. His error chances once again has to be 15, 16, 17, or 18. And that's a 16, so that's going to be an error. That's one of the ones he had to avoid, and he couldn't do it. So that is going to be a 1-base error on Davey Johnson. So bad luck for the Orioles there. Error on Johnson will move Carew to second base. So the split triangle gave him a hit, and now there's an error there. So they're having a rough time of it here in the 6th. Bullpen activity is going. Mo Drabowski is loosening. McNally, we're going to roll for the wild pitch, and there's nothing there. Here's Versalis. 2-8 for Versalis, and he's going to hit a ground ball pitcher B. That's going to be a fielder's choice. So they'll get Batty out at second base on the force, 1-6. And Carew will go to third. Versalis is now at first for Jim Cott. So Jim Cott, bunt's not going to probably help him too much, so he's going to have to swing away with runners at the corners. And they're going to play the infield in. They want to choke that run off. But first we'll check for a wild pitch. Nothing happening. So here's the pitch to Cott. McNally needs a strikeout. 4-4. He won't get it. It's a ground ball, third base X. That is Mr. Brooks Robinson, 1-11. We'll check the 1 and see if he can get a runner out. 14. 1 and a 14 is a G1, which is good for him. Here's an 11, and that's 12. So E11 and a 12. There is no error on that. And so, what I like to use in those situations, and I should have had it out earlier and I didn't, is the rule book where it shows, and now I can't find it. Of all the things I should have in front of me, I don't have it. At least not handy. Oh, here it is. It was buried under something. So here we go. I like to use this supplement for fielding. We have runners at first and third. It's ground ball A, and that's the number 8. So number 8 says batter out, runner on third holds. So Brooks Robinson was able to freeze the runner at third, throw Cott out at first. Versalis will go to second. So now second and third with 2 outs. And it's all up to Cesar Tovar to try to give the Twins the lead. McNally, nothing doing on the 20. Here's Tovar. 4-10. 4-10 is a ballpark single check. And again, it's a 1-8. So 1-8, and we got a single, 9-20, and he is out. That's a 5. It's going to be a base hit for Tovar. Key base hit, 2-out single. That will score Carew to give the Twins a 3-2 lead. And it could possibly score Versalis as well. Let's look at the results here. It's a single to left field. So the left fielder in this case is Blefary. Blefary's arm checks in as a 0. So the runner, Versalis, his speed, and he was being held, or he was not being held rather, it's a 17. So with 2 outs, it gives him a 19. So they're not even going to throw that. That's almost an automatic run to score there. So it's a 2-run single. They want to keep Tovar at first. So it's a 2-run single. And now McNally has reached his point of weakness. But they're going to try to get him to finish the inning if possible. Facing Rich Rollins. Nothing on the 20. So here's Rich Rollins. 3-2 against a left-hander. That's a split chance here on the triangle again. 1-2 is a single. Anything else, he lines it to short. That's 2. That's the way it's going for the Orioles in this game. Single 1 star, so that will put runners at first and second. Boy, McNally can't catch a break. All right, here's Oliva. This is McNally's last batter. 5-7, and he struck him out. So that's going to end the inning. But 2 runs come in for the Twins, and they now lead it by the score of 4-2. So there's your score sheet there, 4-2, and that's going to be it for Mr. McNally. He is done, and they will bring in Mo Drabowski going forward for the next inning. All right, so now with the lead, Jim Cott trying to protect that lead. Let's see if he can do it. Let's see if I can move the dice tower here and maybe the cards this way. Let's see if I can try it this way to get more of the score sheet in, hopefully. Let's see, we'll figure something out. Maybe I'll put the batter cards here and back us up a little bit. We'll figure something out. All right, so here we go. Brooks Robinson. We had a 1-2 for Robinson against a lefty. That's a walk. So Brooks Robinson draws a leadoff walk. He's an E-stealer. He will not be held. We will roll wild pitches, and it's a 1, so it's a wild pitch rating of 7 for Cott. No wild pitch, so we go to Boog Powell. 4-7 on Cott. That's a strikeout. So 1 away, and that's going to send us to Davey Johnson. Roll on the 20 again. Nothing happening. Here's Davey Johnson. 2-5, and that's a single. There's a clutch symbol there, but they're not 2 outs and nobody's in scoring position, so it's going to be a clean single. Brooks Robinson will stop at second base with the ball hit the left. So runners at first and second. 1 away. Here's Paul Blair. Nothing on the 20. Here's Blair. 4-8 against Cott. That's a strikeout. So Blair is out of there. 2 down. And here's Andy Etchebarren, and a pinch hitter is on deck for the pitcher if it gets to that. 15, nothing. So here's Etchebarren. 6-7. 6-7 on Cott. Ground ball second base X. That is Rod Carew. And Carew defensively Checks in as a 3E18. So we'll see if he gets to it. 3 and a 4, he may not get to that. 3 and a 4 is a single 1 star. So that's going to put runners, or actually load the bases, I guess, with that 1 star. And he is an E18. He needs to avoid a 13 or an 18. And he got an 11, so no error, but it is going to be a base hit as Echeverria snuck it past him. And now we will get a pinch hitter. As we have reached the pitcher spot, McNally will now be officially lifted for the pinch hitter. And the Orioles will turn to a pinch hitter, and it'll be Sam Bowens, the right-hander. Or it could be Woody Held. Actually, they'll go with Woody Held, a right-hander, against the lefty Cott. They will go with Woody Held. In a big spot here, bases loaded and 2 outs. Check for the wild pitch, and there is none. So here's Woody Held. 3-9 for Woody Held against a left-hander, and he struck him out. So tough chance there for Woody Held. He couldn't come through, and that's going to end the inning for the Orioles. They leave them loaded, and they now trail 4-2. And Mo Drabowski is the new pitcher for the Orioles, and in 67, he was 7-5, 1.61 ERA, and 12 saves. So very good performance by him. And we're looking at Killebrew. So let's see if I can get this in focus here. Killebrew, the batter against Drabowski. 2-4 for Killebrew is going to be a walk. So Killebrew draws a leadoff walk to start the 7th. And that will bring up Bob Allison. Nothing on the 20. Here's Allison. 2-7 for Allison. Struck him out. So Allison out on strikes. 1 away for Rod Carew. Orioles looking for the double play if they can get it. Carew 1-7. Won't get it. It's a single to right field. And so runners now will be at first and second because Killebrew doesn't run well, so he will have to stop at second base. So 2 on, 1 out for Earl Batty. Nothing on the 20. Here is Batty. 2-8 for Batty, and he walks. So now the bases are loaded. Bases are now loaded with 1 out for Zolio Versalis, and Drabowski's having some issues. 12, nothing happening. They need to double play badly. 3-6 against a right-hander is a line out to short. So he lines it out to shortstop Aparicio for out number 2. And then you've got Jim Cott. So they got a good chance to get out of this. Drabowski. Nothing on the 20. Let's go to Jim Cott at bat. It's a 6-5. 6-5 is a strikeout. So that's going to end the inning. I believe Cott is a right-handed hitter as a pitcher, even though he pitches left-handed. If not, he flies to left, so it's kind of tit for tat, but I think he bats right-handed. Could be wrong. It's kind of irrelevant at this point. But that's going to do it for the Twins here in the top of the 7th. So 7th inning stretch we go. And Jim Cott now will be back out on the bump to face Kurt Blefary, top of the order for the O's. Against Jim Cott. We got a 5-7. Cott against the lefty. 5-7 is a ground ball to second. So let's see here. Oh, I forgot to give Held struck out his last time. I forgot to write that in. So this is a 4-3 ground out for Blefary to lead off the bottom of the 7th. Here's Aparicio. 2-5 for Aparicio. Ground ball to short. Handled by Versalis. So 2 up, 2 down. Cott looks pretty strong. 1-2, and that's a ballpark home run chance for Frank Robinson. It's 1-8 at Memorial Stadium. And Robinson, a 9, he just missed it, so it turns into a fly to left to end the inning. So 7 innings in the books, and it's still 4-2. So we go to the 8th, and that's going to bring up Cesar Tovar, top of the order for the Twins. 5-9 is a strikeout. So Tovar down on strikes. 1 away. Tovar is retired. Here's Rich Rollins. Ooh, foul ball. We'll call that a foul ball. All right, 4-9 against a righty for Drabowski. Ground ball, shortstop X. That is Aparicio. And Aparicio checks in as a 2 E32. So let's see if he gets to it. 2 and 11, he does get to it. E32, you want to avoid 13, 15, 17, and 18. And that is a 10, so that's a good play for Aparicio. 2 up, 2 down, and that brings up Rich Rollins. Well, that was Rich Rollins, rather. It brings up Oliva. So a lefty, Oliva, 6-6 for Drabowski against the lefty, struck him out. So I think that's how I'm going to work. I'm going to leave the pitcher card there and bring the batter card in when necessary. So that's going to do it for the Twins here in the top of the 8th. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Jim Cott back out. Will be facing Brooks Robinson. 2-7 for Robinson against a lefty. 2-7 is a ground ball to short. So Robinson is out of there. 1 away for Boog. The Booger, 5-10 against a lefty. That's a ballpark single chance, which for a left-hander is 1-8, same as a right-hander. And that's a 13, so instead of a base hit, it is going to be a liner to second base. So 2 down, and that's going to bring up Davey Johnson. 2-7 for Johnson against the lefty Cott. 2-7 is a ground ball to third, and that's going to end the inning. So nothing doing there. We go to the 9th. Drabowski still in relief. We'll be facing Harmon Killebrew. 6-10. 6-10 is a ground ball shortstop X. That is Aparicio. He's a 2 and an E32. I think that's what I had him down as. Yep, 2 E32. So see if he gets to it. 2 and his 15, he gets to it. Let's check the E32. That's a 7. That's a good play all day long. So Aparicio makes the play. 1 away, and that's going to bring up Bobby Allison. 1-2 for Allison against Drabowski, the right-hander. 1-2 is going to be a walk. So Allison draws the walk. And I'm trying to reach around my camera, so I'm kind of tilting it when I do that. Apologize for that. Make sure there's no wild pitch. There's not. That brings up Carew. That's a 2-3 for Rod Carew against the right-hander. 2-3 is a ground ball. 2-3 is a split chance with the triangle. 1-7 is a single. 8-20 he lines to Davey Johnson. That is a 3, so it's going to tilt over for a single. Second time that's happened for the Twins against the Orioles. They've caught a bad break on that a couple of times. So base hit for Carew. Puts runners at first and second. Oops, let's roll the D20 as well. We'll keep that roll, but roll the D20. Make sure this happens. No, it's not. 4-8. 4-8 for Batty, the catcher, is a strikeout. So Drabowski strikes him out. 2 down. And that brings up Zolio Versalis against Drabowski. 2 is a potential balk or pass ball. It's a 1, but he has a 0 balk rating, so no balk. Finish the at-bat. 2-8 on Versalis against Drabowski. A 2-8. Ground ball to the pitcher, and that's going to end the inning. So we go to the bottom of the 9th. Last chance for the O's as Jim Cott is looking for the complete game victory. His fatigue was 8, and he gave up nothing in the 8th, so he's still good to go. And he's going to be facing Paul Blair, Andy Etchebarren, and a pinch hitter for the pitcher. So here we go. 6-7 Cott against the right-hander Blair. 6-7 is a ground ball second base X. That is Carew. And Carew checks in 3 E18. Can he get to it? 3 and a 9 he does. E18. E18 and a 7. 18 on the second baseman. 7 is good all day long. 1 away. So 2 outs away from the victory for the O's. Here's Andy Etchebarren. 5-6 against a right-hander is a ground ball to short. 2 down. So we come now to a pinch hitter for the O's. They have no more righties that are any good. So they'll have to go to a left-hander. And it'll be Mike Epstein, I believe. Mike Epstein, the lefty. So Epstein is going to come on to pinch hit. Left-hander against Cott. 4-4 against the lefty is a fly ball center field X. That is going to be Tovar. And Tovar is a 3 E2. Check the 3. 3 and a 10. He gets to that. E2 is probably going to be all she wrote. The only way to make an error on an E2 for center fielder is to get a 17 or an 18. And we got a 7. Well, actually, I'll re-roll it because it bounced out. But we get an 11, so it's good play, and the ball game is over. Forgot to write in Epstein. But that's going to do it. Cott's going to get the complete game victory. The Twins beat the Orioles by the score of 4-2. So hopefully you enjoyed that presentation of Strat-O-Matic Super Advanced. Something other than the White Sox. So just something I want to do on a whim, just to be different. The White Sox will be back very shortly with their next season game against the Yankees. So we'll see how that goes. Got to finish up the doubleheader against Milwaukee offline and then play the Yankees in their first game back at the friendly confines of Comiskey. So until next time, hope you enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it. And as usual, I will see you all down the road.